Um, in advance of the seminar, I spoke to some of you, and some of you have expressed I don't know what to call it, bafflement about the text that we're about to study for the next, 90 days. Dogen's essay, Uji, which is translated as being time or existence time or the time being, and some people just translate it as what it means on its surface, like sometimes. And one person said to me, yeah, I look forward to Saturday, but hopefully you'll explain why do we study this text? And because of this why that was put to me, I'd like to, before we look at the text, which I would like to go through, line by line, I'd like to say something about Buddhism as a general orientation, or what kind of study it is. In Buddhism, we're not really asking what is being, or what is time, what is life, the meaning of life, in hopes of coming to a conclusive answer. If that's disappointing, then there's still time to leave. We're asking, you could say, how do you engage being? How do you engage time? How do you engage life? So that you are liberated from suffering, so that you don't get pushed into habits that cause dissatisfaction, unease, and so forth. You see the difference? One, you could say, is a philosophical inquiry, which is not useless, but it would be made in hopes of delivering some understanding, some answer. The other is to engage a certain topic, wonder about what your relationship to it is, and how that relationship either causes friction in your life or more or less friction in your life. Now, I wouldn't say that that's unique to Buddhism necessarily, but it's actually where as a teenager, I was very put off by religion, but I only knew my own Christian, parish, not much more. But it continued later into life. This was I put myself at a distance to religion. But when I dove more into philosophy and a kind of conceptual investigation of life, I realized that there was something missing. And what is missing, I would say, is the transformative character that we actually still find in all of the religions, because it's always about liberation or salvation, or it's about how do you live a different life so that you live a better life. Much of contemporary philosophy is not about that at all. it's sort of a sterile, I'm speaking now a little bit in provocative terms, but a sterile investigation of a certain kind of situation, and it's like, what does it have to do with me? Like, what is the transformative aspect of this? And it's not there. So we put it to the side, and it's like, that's just philosophy. That's just somebody thinking about stuff. So I'm still kind of a little bit worried about religion. You know, because most religions ask us to believe certain things, and like they're not encouraging us to verify what's true for ourselves. And much of religion is about belonging to a certain group and not about an investigation of like, how do I want to live my life? So I'm still concerned. But this transformative aspect is really important. And I believe that that's why you're here, because you're interested in that transformative quality of investigating your own experience so that you might have a new relationship with it that is more fruitful. So I would say that what Dogen does in this text that we're going to look at is he's practicing what I call, sounds a little complicated, but a transformative phenomenology. So phenomenology means it's a method of in philosophy, and it means basically to study your experience. So we're studying our experience, but not just for the sake of understanding it better, but as I just said several times, with the intention to transform it. So we need to read the text that way. It's about your own experience, understanding it maybe, hopefully, more deeply than you usually would. Because it takes effort to look at your experience through something in a new way. There are cognitive psychologists that call this phenomenon, I mean, we would just call it belief, maybe. We hold certain beliefs. And there's these cognitive scientists that call these hyper-priors. It's like something that is so basic that it structures everything you see. There's something prior to your experience. And if it's hyper-prior, it's like way prior. You can't see it. It's everything you see is already structured by that. Now, our notion of time or existence is like that. It's like there are already prior assumptions about it that we would like never really look at in our daily life. Our daily life works, so it's not necessary to question those things. We'll get to that, but Dogen actually has a whole little paragraph about it. It's like, you'll never doubt it. Why would you doubt it? And you've got doubts about all kinds of things, but they never coalesce into some doubt that will put you, create something new. So that said, it's important to maintain a certain kind of openness. That also means an openness to this text, which is like, it's awkward. It's like, it's alienating. It takes effort to get into because it wants to get us to a layer that we usually don't investigate. Whenever you want to investigate such a layer, it's always hard to do. It's always difficult to speak about. There's basically no language for it. Why? because language is already the expression of these hyperpriors. The words we form are only about that which is already the structured world that we have inherited from our culture. So inevitably, when you try to speak about it, either you have to be silent, right? The noble silence, can't speak about it, or it will be paradoxical. Because it's like, to get to this layer, there's like two ways of speaking about it, and they're like true at the same time. That's why, Zen expressions are full of paradox. Or you can't say anything about it, and then it's this neither existence nor non-existence or something. It's like, then, well, what can we? You're saying something, but you're not really saying anything. So these figures of speech arise from trying to step behind certain assumptions. Now, we have certain views, basic views in Buddhism, that structure much of its language. And I'll give the one example that is very pertinent to our topic of time, impermanence. Look at one of the most basic assumptions in Buddhist practice is that everything is impermanent. Everything changes. Yeah? Well, of course, you can only assert something like this in contrast to its opposite, permanence. And when you say everything is impermanent, you're basically saying there is nothing permanent. Well, how do we know that? How do we know there's nothing permanent? We don't really. But when you look around, everything that you can see and touch and get in contact with is actually impermanent. But what's really important here is that the view of impermanence is a corrective to the desire for permanence. There's something about us human beings that would like things to be permanent. Not everything, but certain things. Certain things we don't care about. Well, whether they change or not, who cares? But certain things we would like to be permanent. Now, this may be different for each of us, right? What we would like to see being permanent. Many people don't want to die. So they desire permanence for themselves. That's maybe one of the biggest, ways that we're trying to hold on to something that is obviously impermanent, our own life. But we also would like the life of others who are important in our life to be not impermanent. And when life shows that this is not so, we suffer. We suffer from loss. The same is true for certain objects in our life that we would like to stay around. So I hope you don't mind. Josh is on Zoom. Josh and I had to deal with the breaking of our washing machine, which happened a couple of days ago. There were signs. It had difficulty now and then. How did it show itself? It was like there's something clearly wrong with the drain, because when the drain doesn't work right, the door locks. because the machine is trying to prevent water to be spilled, right? So the door is locked, can't open it, very inconvenient. It just started to load, stops. This time, it even, tripped the breaker. So Josh reported this to me, and then I started to investigate. I asked him what happened, what exactly is going on. And I hope you don't mind me telling the story, Josh, but Josh was very concerned because he's in charge of the laundry. And we are running a hospitality business, and the laundry needs to happen every day. We are very reliant on this machine. And when it doesn't work, Josh's day gets scrambled up, it's like, can't do the load, then can't come out, then the other load can, and then Well, you know all this, right? Your car breaks down, you're stuck at home. You can't continue your day the way you've planned, or, whatever it is. There are a myriad of examples of where life is supposed to work smoothly, and then it doesn't. Or you get ill. You wanted to do something, but then you can't. Like, your own machine is not working well. So this went back and forth, I was trying to get John here, who helps us with appliances, but he said, I can come next week. And I could feel Josh being anxious, He's laughing in the picture he showed. At some point I said, Josh, you're pretty anxious about this. And he said, yeah, I guess that's what I do. Buddhism is trying to do something about this at the base. You all know, this is not about Josh, right? You all know this feeling. The discontent with things not going as planned. The way your life is not smooth the way it should be. The anxiety that arises from what happens when this isn't getting fixed, then what am I going to do? We had hope. John came, he cleaned the filter, the drain filter, and we thought, unclogging the filter will do it, right? So I'm sitting anxiously, I'm sitting in my office while John is like, plumbers, the places they have to get to, like, the filter isn't accessible from the front, so he's like on his back with his arm, the back of the machine, with a vacuum cleaner. Thanks, John. So, about an hour later he says, bad news, you have to replace the pump. Or you can get a new machine. So we have to wait days, maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday. The uncertainty, unbearable. So Buddhism is trying to do something at the base of this, and it's basically trying to get us used to the idea that everything is in fact impermanent. It will deteriorate, it will break, it will die. Now some people have said that's a very negative outlook on life. Well, it's true. If you say it as a general statement, you would say I don't have to look at everything that way. And yeah, you don't have to look at everything that way all the time. Enjoy its presence for sure. Don't look at everything as it's going to die right now. Okay. But it does, if you do take in this view, again, what I'm talking about is as a corrective, you are less surprised when it happens. Like you're not surprised that the machine breaks down. We were already assuming that that is the case. That will happen one day. Right? I'm still trying to make a simple point of a view as a corrective to another view that you want to hold or are implicitly holding without really knowing it because it's a hyper-prior. Funny word, right? But new word. So is it true that everything is impermanent? Yes, on the one hand. On the other hand, it is also just pragmatically true in the sense that it will prevent a whole lot of suffering if you really embrace that view. Okay. So many of the views that basically what we're doing when we're studying a text like Dogen's is we're working with our views. That's why I'm bringing this up. Now, there are one thing we understand as practicing Buddhists, that meditation is actually part of our study. We're not just working with views, we're also inviting certain experiences through meditation so that we are supported in how we're studying our views. One of the experiences that can arise through meditation, or we're making more likely to come into the foreground, is what people sometimes call timelessness. There are states of mind in which it seems that time stops. Or it's not just time stops, it's actually, there's no time. Now maybe you haven't experienced this so explicitly. I recently discovered a book that I shared on the portal for those of you who are in the practice period. Oh no, did I not bring this? No, you did. This is a German philosopher and meditator, Thomas Metzinger, who I recently met in person at a conference, and he compiled this really enormous book called The Elephant and the Blind. And he studies pure awareness and the phenomenology of it. Like, how do people experience pure awareness? And he gathered from all over the world reports from meditators about this experience and then put them together in a book. And I think it's a marvelous resource. The metaphor of the elephant and the blind, you see the picture here, is the elephant, and then there are blind monks in this case. And they all touch a different part of the elephant. And because they don't touch the whole elephant but just a part, they're reporting, different things about the elephant, or saying, oh, it's like a pillar, because, they're touching the leg or the... The elephant is like this, the elephant is like that, and they can't agree on the truth of it. So this image is an important image for Buddhism, is because reality as such is a mystery. It is withdrawn from full grasp. We can't fully grasp reality. We only get always a portion of it. Right? So if somebody says reality is like this, then they are only touching a part of the elephant. So reality for us mostly, the fruitful view here is that reality is a mystery. Now, Thomas Metzinger says, pure awareness is like that. It's like the elephant that we can, get glimpses of, but we don't fully, understand it. And so then all these reports that he's cataloging in the book are all certain aspects of this experience that he's trying to study. In one chapter, chapter 22nd, is titled From Timelessness to Timeless Change. So he's saying people have experiences of timelessness, and then he gives reports of it. This book, the English translation is available for free, marvelously. So I uploaded it to the portal. You can just look at it. In German, the title is From Timelessness to Timeless Flow. Because we're experiencing change as a kind of flowing, you could say. So I like that because it's more experiential, but the translator chose change. So I want to share some experiences with you here. Because this would be something like, I said impermanence, right, in contrast to our desire for permanence. Timelessness is a kind of permanence. Let us now proceed to the special case where the phenomenology of timelessness and actual time representation occur together. Some participants explicitly report experiences of static flow and the distinct phenomenal quality of timeless change. The phenomenal character of timelessness can clearly co-emerge with or envelop ongoing temporal experience, which is a highly interesting result in itself. The scientist, these subjects have interesting experiences. So he says, one of the participants reports, there was no one, including me, who owned this experience. It just was. There was awareness of time passing, but this very sensation seemed insignificant, giving rise to the sense of a static flow. I have these experiences fairly regularly. I first had it as a teenager when I was swimming, and now I have it running mostly because I don't swim much anymore. And there's a reversal, like I feel like, I'm running through space, but at a certain point, and I think some people describe this as runner's high, I feel like I'm not moving and the space is moving past me. You can have that driving in your car actually too. It's like a reversal of perspective. Now, when you feel you're not moving, even though you're moving, that's a kind of, it's static, there's flow, but there's a space that doesn't move. And the space is not separate from you. Like, you are that awareness through which movement happens, but the awareness itself is actually not moving. When it happened to me for the first time, it was very startling, but now it's more like, that thing. In fact, I could make it happen. It's so familiar, it's like, I can turn it on. When it's so cold or it's snowy, I sometimes go to the gym to run on the machine, And that's very strange because you are actually not moving. I mean, in space. But something's clearly moving. It's a feeling like that. Another person says, I felt a timelessness while also being completely aware of the movement of time. sensations were heightened. Why are sensations heightened? In my experience, it's like when there is this stability of awareness that doesn't seem to move, but things are moving, you can be more present to all the details that are moving. I mean, meditation is like that. It's like sometimes people say, oh, it's slowing down so I can watch the sensations more clearly, or I can watch my thoughts. Well, maybe you're not experiencing timelessness, but you're creating through meditation a stability of mind that can then notice with more detail. The sensations were heightened, this person says. Somebody else says, only an all-encompassing object, a self-nature that flows without time, that is constantly transforming itself, is unstable, and shapes everything through its form. Now there too, it's like if it's all-encompassing, it's like it's something that doesn't change while something is changing in it. Maybe one more. I was standing at a window and looking out at a tall bunch of grasses. It was a windy day and the grass was moving a lot. Then for some period I coincided with these grasses. Their movement showed, or maybe better was, the nature of time, the complete ungraspability of the present, while at the same time there is nothing else, no past, no future, just this ungraspable now. The difficulty of answering your questions, there's a survey, right? And these questions are about time. The difficulty of answering your questions is that there was no thought at all about time or the passing of time. There was just this movement. Only later in reflection there was the thought, I somehow saw into the nature of time. So while you're immersed in some experience, you're not standing back to reflect on what it is that you're experiencing. This is very common, when people... this is a fairly common notion now, these flow experiences, right? You're so immersed in what you're doing that you're forgetting that time is passing. But while you are in the flow experience, you're not thinking about time. You're not making some sort of philosophical reflection on well, what is the nature of time? When you answer the question, you're experiencing something. So this shows another difficulty. It's like when we speak about time, the time that we want to speak about is something that you experience, but in order to speak about it, you need to step back from it and reflect on it, represent it somehow. Dogen is trying, in his paradoxical language, to make us aware of that all the time. It's like, well, but don't stand back from the experiencing that. It's from the experience that I'm pointing you to right now. So I want to bring in one other perspective here. Suzuki Roshi, who brought this practice that we are continuing from Japan to the United States. He says, when you become attached to a temporal expression of your true nature, it is necessary to talk about Buddhism. Or else you will think the temporal expression is it. So there's something I love about this sentence, which is, there is a situation where you don't have to talk about Buddhism. I love that. You only need to talk about Buddhism, why? If you are attached to a temporal expression of yourself. What does that mean? I mean, let's just be totally pragmatic. If you are healthy and you are attached to your health, you need to talk about Buddhism. If you are not attached to your health and understand that it is a temporary expression of your true nature, no need to talk about Buddhism. The problem that Buddhism is trying to solve is your attachment, nothing else. If you're not attached, you don't have to talk about it. Just go live your life. But it could be something else, right? Some kind of identity. You have a job and you say, I am this, whatever. But when your circumstances change, because you get laid off, or you lose a certain faculty that doesn't allow you to do your job anymore, impermanence has now worked on you. And now you feel the suffering of not being that person anymore that you used to be. If you are attached to a temporal expression of your true nature, this is the reason to talk about Buddhism. Now, often we only notice our attachments when impermanence produces a change that we don't want, and we don't notice the attachments before because it's just your life. Why notice it? So maybe we need to also talk about or study and practice Buddhism to uncover the attachments that we're unconsciously holding. Now he's saying something really, like I said, paradoxical, because he's trying to get at something that we usually don't notice. But this particular expression of your true nature, is not it. Okay, so he says, when you become attached to a temporal expression of your true nature, it's necessary to talk about Buddhism, or else you will think the temporal expression is it. But this particular expression of it is not it, and yet, at the same time, it is it. You are something right now. But if you become attached to it, you notice that you are in the danger zone of suffering, right? It's like you're attached to it. If it's taken away, you suffer. Then maybe you think, oh, I'm not that thing. But the Sukha says, you are that. And you are not it at the same time. For a while, this is it. For a while. For the time being, this is it. Sometimes it's like this. For the smallest particle of time, this is it. But it is not always so. The very next instant, it is not so. Thus, this is not it. So, here you have time. Time is change. For a while, this is it. And then, it's not it. So what is it? So that you will realize this fact, it is necessary to study Buddhism. But the purpose of studying Buddhism is to study ourselves and to forget ourselves. Paradox again. When we forget ourselves, we actually are the true activity of the big existence or reality itself. When we realize this fact, there is no problem whatsoever in this world, and we can enjoy our life without feeling any difficulties. The purpose of our practice is to be aware of this fact. Could have just read this and not give a talk. What happens when I look at the clock, at the watch? Attention shifts. You're like, how long was that? How much time has elapsed? How much time is left? Was it too long? I want you to, as we study time, I want you to understand this shift that I try to demonstrate right now. There's a way that you can shift your mind to clock time and measure the events that happened in it. This talk took 45 minutes. So we've just had an experience, right? Together. We were in it. It was unfolding. I was talking, you were listening, thoughts came into your mind. You were listening, some of the stuff was your own interpretation, experiences were called up. This was, you could say, your experience unfolding or flowing. And then you step away from it and you say like, well, what time is it? How long did it take? So there are at least two modalities in which time is noticed. One is, let's call it clock time, that measures experience from the outside. And another time is, let's call it experiential time, when you're in it and not stepping out of your experience, it's flowing, it's unfolding. It has a dynamic. It can slow down and speed up. If you're really interested in something, time flies. If you're really bored by something, it's like time slows down. If you're doing a routine, time seems to also speed up for some reason. If you're immersed in something truly new, you're noticing more detail of it, and it seems to take a longer time. Like, I think that's why people like to go on vacation, actually. Because your daily routine is just like, oh, it's the same every day, you're just going through it. But if you go away, and where the new environment engages your attention with more detail, like being away for a weekend can feel like you've been away for a whole week. So experiential time is not clock time. It doesn't have the same, it doesn't have a determinative pulse. I sometimes just like to watch a second hand. It's weird. It's like there's this pulse. But it feels very artificial. If you think about the present, the present moment, it's not a slice of time. Like now I'm talking about the experienced present moment. It's not a slice, like a second is a slice. But the present moment is not a slice. It's like it's a duration. It's sort of like, it's just enough time that you can notice a certain configuration, and then your attention notices some significant enough change that you get sort of moved over into another moment. Is that a fair description? Maybe our idea of clock time actually blocks that noticing that there is a kind of durational present. It's sort of, somebody tried to measure this as, you stay with, it's like 3 to 6 seconds or something. You stay with something until your attention gets sort of engaged by something else and then makes a new moment. I've heard somebody said, like, it's a smeared present. This present is, the moment is smeared. It gets a kind of, some kind of duration in which, otherwise we wouldn't be able to even noticing anything happening, right? It would be so instantaneously that. Now, if you train attention and don't let attention get pulled into something that establishes a new moment, you can actually feel like you are lengthening the moment and be present in it. It's my experience. But it requires that you're not allowing attention to just be pulled in whatever direction. Okay. I'll stop here for now.